Okay, so here we go. This looks like it's recording. All right, so Tracy, I'm just going to go over a few videos here that we've got of you over the last few days that I've been out there with you, and I'm just going to cover a couple things. So, not all of it is going to be what we've been working on predominantly, which is that blade depth and length at the release, but we are going to look at those as well. So we're starting off with this one here. This was taken on April 1st, and this is during one of the pieces. So I know what I've mentioned to you a few times is lunging at the catch. So what we're going to do is we're going to take a look at what exactly we mean by lunging at the catch. I'm just going to make sure that the sound is off so we don't have to worry about that. Okay, so we come to the video here, and what we're going to look at here specifically is the angle of your legs here and the angle of your body. Okay, so we're looking at those two things. So when you come to the catch, what we're going to do now is we're going to advance the video just to the point where you can where your blades are squared, and we're going to see what's happened here. So what we want to look at is how is the body in relation to the legs, and have the legs compressed more when we got there. So if we advance forward here, there we go. So we look at that difference in the body. So that angle of the back there, angle of the back here. But now if we look at the angle of the legs here, we see that that hasn't really changed much. So you're not really much more compressed than you were here. So at this point here, if this is all you're compressing to, you should take your catch here. Because when the body falls forward, and we're going to watch the height on the shoulders here as well. Boom. See how they've kind of shrunk down and they've fallen forward. That's going to drive the boat deeper into the water here, and it's also going to counter the momentum of the boat that's trying to travel towards the bow, but we're now lunging it towards the stern. Okay, so we want to make sure that we cut that out. And ideally, what we would do is we would get that body angle there, and we'll get to this back shape here in just a moment. But what we would want to do is we would want to get this forward pivot angle, but we would want to get it at the release of the stroke. So we would get it here, and then as the hands go down and away, we'd set, of course I miss it. So here we go. So here, by the time that these knees start coming up, we should have that forward angle here. So if you're going to reach that far forward, you want to have that out here, because as we pivot over top of the hips, as we sort of swing our body over the top of the hips, that's going to change that momentum on the seat here, and it's actually going to push the boat a little bit forward towards the bow, because we can see how if the top of the arc is swinging this way, the bottom of the arc, which is your hips, would then be countering it by swinging this way, right? But if we do that lunge up here, we lose the leg drive, if anything, right? We're going to kick our seat back there, but there's going to be no power because the blades aren't in the water. So we want to make sure that we hold that angle from the release up to the catch. Then we come up to the catch here, and again, that time you didn't do as much of a lunge, right? But what we want to do is we really want to set that body angle here. Now, we're going to go to the next video. So that's what we're looking at. So it was back here. I think it was around 3 or 4 seconds. Probably around 4 seconds. There you go, from there to there, right? That's what we're talking about, that lunge. And it's been much better. It's been much better. It was really, really pronounced at the end of last year. We're seeing much more stability in that. As you saw further up here, right? We're seeing much more stability of that core and the body. There was a bit of a reach on that last one. There you go. So just something to be aware of. Now, we're going to go to folder 10. And here we go. So at the risk of countering something that Rob said today, he was going on about he wanted you to get more spread at the catch, but I think your spread is actually not bad. Okay, so if we look at you come up here to the catch at your maximum point here in the spread, that's pretty good. That's not a bad angle. I do think if we get that pivot out of bow, and then we prevent ourselves from lunging, if we get that extra pivot, so when we get to this position, we've got that little bit of extra pivot, that's going to push those hands out. But right now that spread is pretty good, right? That spread is pretty good. If we can get a little more length at the catch by getting that pivot. So we'll watch this here. And this is when you were doing the drill for blades half out of the water. So we want to see those blades half out of the water. And we can see here how they're not really half out of the water, right? But what we can also see is that they're pretty good. Like the blade depth is actually pretty solid. So hang on here. So there we go. So we see that the tip of the blade here is just buried. This one here is not quite buried yet. But here, there we go. There we go. And we can see the angle from the shoulder down to the hands. How these hands are fairly low, right? They don't have to be way up here where you'll see when you're doing a power piece how those hands want to come up. They're pretty low through that drive, right? But what we also see is, notice here how the shoulders kind of, there we go. We see that little bump here, and it's kind of nice that we have the sun highlighting this, right? But we see the neck comes down and then the shoulders actually come up, right? Neck comes down, shoulder comes up a bit. So we see that tension here in the shoulders. So now some of that is just obviously concentration tension and that you're trying to do a drill, so your body's getting a little tight. But really think about letting those shoulders hang very, very relaxed. They should always be very relaxed through that stroke. And in fact, through this part of the drive, they should be coming forward towards us, the viewer, not going up towards the sky. They should be coming towards us, the viewer, as they're just hanging in the sockets. And the only things holding them in there are those tendons and muscles and everything else. But if those weren't there, the arms would basically just pop out of the socket. So we want to think of them very relaxed, just getting yanked forward by the forces on those blades. Then what we'll see here at the release as well, which I think is interesting, is notice how this arm here comes out. This arm hugs near the body, right? This arm stays very close to the body. So we want to get those, see there again, this is nice, this is nice. This one here drops down, right? Some of that might be due to the tension in the shoulders, but we want to create that symmetry. What that's going to do is that's going to allow the forces to be better applied through the blade, but also it's going to make sure that everything is exactly the same in alignment with the hull, and then that's going to make balancing the boat easier. So if we have weight sticking out wider here than it is sitting here, then that's going to put the boat and want to make it dip down onto port side. And we can see here there's actually a teeny little bit of list right now on port side. Did you see that little wobble there? Down to port side. Watch here. Boom. See that little wobble there down to port side? Right? So we want to really lock. Look at this. See, we see those tight shoulders here. And we see that one elbow sticking out and this one here tucking in close, right? So really let this elbow come out as well. This is nice though. We've got the forearm is up above the blade here. We've got that nice extension. This one here, we see how that's sort of in line. We're not seeing the elbow below the blade, which is good, but we might see it in a second. Oh, or not, because that video ended. So hang on here. Let's take a look. See there, we're seeing it just getting underneath kind of thing. That's not too bad. That's not too bad. But we do see that misalignment of the arms. So really work on that as well. Now we're giving you a lot to work on here, so don't stress. But your main focuses are going to be the width at the release and the blade depth. Blade depth here is looking good. If you could row like this with power, then not like that last one. That was a little deep. But there, like that with power, that's going to be good. That's going to give you good return on that power and energy investment. And look at this. Again, pay attention to where these hands are in relation to your body, in relation to your knees, right? See that steep angle, steep angle. They don't have to be way up high, right? And there, if we get those shoulders going back, and again, this here, you can get a little more spread than this, but this is much better than what you had been doing. So that's good. We're going to close this one down. We're going to move on to the next one here. So here's a good one for you, because we're going to see you right beside Marnie, and we're going to be able to see how she's moving past you here, and one of the reasons why she's moving past you. So we talk as well about how you tend to lag at the release, and then you speed up the slide. So if you watch Marnie's boat, and watch how much her boat actually moves past you when she's not in the water, when she's not driving the boat. Okay, because that's where she's actually gaining most of her speed. So let's go right back to the beginning here. So starting here, we're going to watch. And there you go. So she just finishes her stroke. She's about, what, a third of the way down your deck here. Then she's going to glide up the recovery. And by the time that she actually gets to take her next stroke, she's gone from a third of the way up to all the way up here, right? So let's look at that again. So she was, there you go. So we look at this little bump on her boat. There's where it is here. She glides, and this is while you're in the water. So this is while you're accelerating through. She's still moving on you without having done anything. She hits the water here, and she's already up to almost your foot stops, right? She's up to your rigger basically here. There you go. And now we're basically, she's right the same. She's taken her stroke. She hasn't moved on you at all here. And now watch her when she's out of the water again. Away she goes, right? So she's moved on you again, all the way up to here. While she's not in the water, while she's not accelerating that boat. That's just the speed that she has given it, right? So again, now we're going to go back here. We're going to take a look. So we see there, if we look at you on there, watch how you sort of come into the catch. And it's very subtle. It's hard to see, especially sort of when you're new to the sport, right? It all looks very similar, but hopefully the more you look at it and the more you see it, the more you'll be able to pick it out. But watch the very top part, how you just kind of crash in there a little bit more. So we're going to watch Marnie here as she comes into the catch. So see there, it's very kind of fluid, very soft, right? There you go, very soft. Now we're going to come back to you, and we're going to watch here and see how it's just that little bit more of a charge, right? It's a little less controlled. There you go. That one there, you see how it was just a little quicker? There you go. You saw that acceleration. That was a really good one here. There, see that acceleration into the catch? And we see that bit of lunging as well, right? And all those things are going to be stopping the momentum of the boat. And we see how it stops the momentum, whereas Marnie's continues to hold that momentum. She grabs that next catch and goes, right? So if you can sort of get out of bow a little quicker and take that time, then just easing into the catch. And we'll see that. We're going to come back here and we're going to see it actually in action. Okay, because let's look at this stroke and you're both going to finish at the same time. See, look at that. We've both taken our stroke and we're both out, virtually at the exact same position here. Okay, but now watch what happens with Marnie's blades. Watch what happens with your blades. There you go. Marnie's blades are moving away. Yours are still here at the body, right? There you go. Marnie's now are almost extended. The arms are getting very close to extended. Yours are still at the body, right? There you go. Now she's been nice, quick around the corner. She's got her extended arms. She's about a quarter of the way up the slide. Very relaxed, very smooth. And we go in, and if we look at the shins, we're almost still at the same position, because as far ahead of you as she was coming out of the release, you then raced into that catch, almost catching up to her, right? So here, look how far ahead she is. She's got her pivot, shoulders are over the hips, arms are extended, and now watch how you come charging up this slide here. And zoom, right? And there we go, and we're both almost in the same position again. We come out at the release, and we see how her blades now, there's no hesitation in where they go away. They're in and away. Here we go, we'll come here. They come in and they're going away. And yours will come in, they kind of sit there for a second, and then they come away. They come in, and then they stop, and then they're away. Right? So if we can get that smoothness and that quickness around the release, that'll let you spend the exact same amount of time on that recovery. It's just that we're going to be fast here and then slow into that catch. And we can see how that slow approach to the catch was letting Marnie's boat just pass by you while she's not even doing any work. She's done the work, and now it's just floating along top of the water, and that's where she really gains the benefit, because that way the speed never drops down drastically, right? It's a good acceleration, maintain, maintain, maintain. Good acceleration, maintain, maintain, maintain. Whereas your speed will be far more like this kind of graph where you're accelerating, then it's slowing down, then accelerating, then slowing down, then accelerating, then slowing down. Hers will be more like accelerate, hold, 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 hold. Accelerate, hold, hold, hold. And that's going to pay off over the long run. So I hope I hope that was sort of a good visual to focus on. One thing I do also want to show though here, again, I'll come back to this one because we want to finish off on a positive thing, because I don't want you to think that I'm trashing you, because I think you're doing really well. I think there's been a lot of really good stuff going on in there. This is nice. We see both those elbows out. We see, look at this spread in here now, right? We're getting much better distance in here, which is really nice. Look at that, even more than when I stopped it there, right? Let's go back here. Boom, look at that. Right? Look at this kind of width here, right? This is nice. If we get this elbow out, this elbow out, that's going to let us keep those shoulders low, use those lats along the back there to really draw it in all the way and keep that acceleration. So I think that's very solid, right? Very solid. Make sure we're not getting lazy, that we keep that pressure on those hands here. There we go. See, we were a little lazy there, right? So watch these blades now. They come back to the water. Look at that. See, we want to push those hands down, keep them down. Oh, did you see the drop there? Right? Let that boat stability be there. Push the hands down. Trust that you'll be able to stabilize it with that nice strong core. Overall, though, I think you've been doing really well the last few days, and especially this morning. We noticed on the power bit, you were holding the spread much better. I thought it was really solid actually to see this morning. So I was excited for that. So I think that's pretty good. I will include with this email that I'm going to send you, letting you know that I've done this. I'm going to talk about the email that you sent me and your workout schedule. So I hope this was helpful in some way. If you have any questions, feel free to send me an email, or we can just talk next time we see each other. See ya.